We're rolling.
Oh, man.
Welcome to another lost episode of Lars and Nick Have Notes with a special guest.
Oh, yeah. We got Robin here
It's
with
me,
us.
Robin.
Woo. Oh, man. Robin, like you're a comedy person.
I am.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I do lots of types of comedy performance. I started by just doing stand-up, then I got sucked into improv and sketch comedy too. Then I got sucked into general writing stuff, and so yeah, I like to write and perform comedy all over LA.
Holy crap.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Cool. I like that. So Robin is my friend, and Nick is just like meeting her now, and I'm just like he's real impressed in this moment.
Yeah, we got a real meeting. That's really cool.
It's funny because I didn't realize that he didn't know all that.
Yeah, we talked a little bit before we hit record, but I don't know that much about you.
It's in much more vague terms.
It's actually, this is really interesting because I am very obsessed with animation. Like, it's just a big passion of mine. All my favorite shit. Like, my dream comedy job is writing for animated stuff. So it's like, usually out of all the comedians, I'm like an animation. I was like, oh, she's the animation person. She writes animated stuff, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm just starkly the comedy with you guys.
Wow. Well,
okay.
But we're literal animation people who just love to laugh.
I know.
Yeah, and I like comedy. I'm a fan of comedy.
I guess. No, I like it.
Yeah, it's okay. But you don't like all animation. I heard that this movie you have a problem with.
Oh yeah, well
Yeah.
we should.
Oh,
So
what are we seeing?
It was Robin's choice.
Yes.
We were talking about doing an episode, and it came up the subject of a lost episode since animated movies that we were excited about were a little sparse this month and following month, and so it was like, well, so you picked out Princess Kaguya.
Is that how you say it?
That's how I say it.
Princess Caligula.
I've been saying Kaguya, but that's based off nothing.
I mean, there's definitely an order of letters to this. K-A.
Kaguya. Is this it? No, this is a different thing.
No,
Why you
K-A.
that's random Hawaiian princess.
It filled it in, to be fair.
Okay.
Princess.
We're
We're gonna cut all this out.
All right.
That one.
Kaguya.
Kaguya.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
The Tale of Princess Kaguya.
Yep.
Whoops, just looked at the score. Now I'm influenced.
Aw, jeez.
All right.
For animation people, you guys don't know anything about this movie.
So, funny thing, this was nominated for Best Animated Feature for, was it 2014, I think?
Oh, it was more recent than that, right?
Was it 2015?
I don't know, yeah.
Did it come out last year?
Recently.
Funny thing was, I had seen every other nominee for Best Animated Feature
Not
except this one.
Yeah. Well, just like my background of the movie, I obviously love Studio Ghibli because I'm a human who's on Earth.
You're young.
And so I'm just like, yes, I believe this is like Miyazaki's last film. He's gonna be supervising or something. It had some kind of taint of air, this is the last one, blah blah blah. It was magical. So you have to see it for that reason. And so my family, I'm the least independent film person out of my whole family. That's all they watch is stuff that's not mainstream. And so they're like, let's all go see it. And it was couldn't have been better. It was we were all getting along, the four of us. It was Christmas time. We were all back home. It was coming out. And it was let's go to the cool theater where you can buy beer and food, and we're going to watch this movie. It's the Bay Area hippie little screening thing. And so...
And great reviews, too.
Great reviews. I've seen every other Studio Ghibli movie, love them all, blah, blah, blah. And so I go in being what a great time I have ahead of me. And the movie starts, and I was like, oh, okay, well, pretty soon the movie will start, and this little bad portion will be over. And then it was probably about an hour before I was like, oh, the bad portion just is the movie. We're not jumping to a good scene. We're just it's literally a slideshow. You watch old Pokemons, and it's just, and actually it'll be interesting to see what you guys think, because or maybe I just don't appreciate the brush strokes, and they're the three perfect brush strokes, and you want to see just 3 lines instead of actual animation or something. But so I wanted to leave. I think I just started checking my phone in the middle of the movie. And my parents and my sister loved it, and they didn't understand why I was so upset about it. And I just was so... if it was just me, I probably would have walked out, because I was too bored.
Wow.
It was just so dull.
So this is probably irrelevant, but I've actually been watching old Pokemons and really enjoying them.
But they are a slideshow. but they have exciting noises, and there's still a slideshow.
And like super dumb jokes.
And there's still animals.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. There's probably not actually Pokemons in this movie.
No.
God,
I wish there was.
I guess you've already seen it, so you know there's not any Pokemon in it.
You know what? That would be hilarious if we got halfway through the movie and then suddenly Team Rocket shows up.
Gotta capture the princess.
Yeah, Meowth is actually Princess Kaguya.
Oh, good reveal.
For me, it was No Country for Old Men. Everybody said this movie's amazing, and I was like, wow, this is gonna blow me away. And I sit down to watch this movie on the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
And what nobody told me is, no, this is like a slow build, like tension, saying what's not said, like slow paced movie. And so I spent the entire movie waiting for it to start.
And it's a great movie if you walk in with the right expectations.
It's a horrible movie if you go in with the expectations I have.
World's worst action film.
Yeah.
Oh, man. You guys know Match Point, that Woody Allen movie?
No.
It's with, like, ScarJo. It was one of the first ones he cast her into it. Oh. Anyway, I was just like, great, new Woody Allen movie. It's about a married couple. One of them's playing tennis or something, blah, blah, blah. And I go in there, and I'm just like, oh, okay, they're, like, interested in the characters. And then, like, pretty soon, like, the jokes, I'm like, rah, 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 my family is so wisecracking is going to start. And then it just turns into a legit, like, murder thriller. Oh. And so I didn't understand that it wasn't going to be a comedy until, like, someone's head got cracked and the mother was dead.
Oh, this is what this is.
Yeah. It's really confusing. That also happened to me. My college used to just play random movies on this one channel. If you owned a channel, they just play them with no ads. And so you could just, like, start it, and sometimes the movie would be starting. And once it started at, like, 1:30 a.m., and it was Silence of the Lambs. And all I knew about Silence of the Lambs was that it was a very, very good movie. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay up late. I'm just going to watch Silence of the Lambs. And then it just starts, and it is that good, but I didn't know it was scary at all. And I just end up I couldn't sleep at all the entire night. It ends at like 3:30, and I couldn't go to bed.
It's a fun movie about lambs.
Yeah.
What could go wrong?
Yeah, I was like, okay, whatever. Something about
They're not even loud.
Yeah.
Wow.
I watched One Punch Man with my brother, and 2 minutes in, he's like, wait, is this meant to be funny? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh, okay. And then we really enjoyed it.
Oh,
yeah.
All right. Anyway. So we know what you think of the movie.
Yeah.
But knowing that, what do you think, Lars? Or do you think you're gonna like it in spite of how much you dislike it?
Well, I mean, so one thing to me that's, you know, kind of a key to all of this is that as I understand it, Robin, you watched the dubbed version, where they're dubbing over the voices, whereas I generally stick to subtitled anime movies.
To be fair, I can't remember.
Okay.
But I remember looking at my phone and not missing anything, but then nothing happens in the movie, so maybe that wasn't affected.
Okay, so jury's kind of out.
Yeah. And we got the dubbed version.
We did end up with the dubbed version, so hopefully we're replicating your experience.
Yeah.
So, you know, because it would suck, like, if, you know, the dub was utter shit, and then the subtitles were, like, really good acting, and then, you looked like an asshole.
There's nothing to make
like,
this movie good.
All right. Okay.
Bold statement. All right. It's on.
Wow.
Okay, so do you think you're going to like it?
I mean, I don't generally watch dubbed anime, and I know that oftentimes, like, people are just super awkward acting, and it's the way they direct anime dubs, and it's not the actor's fault. Exactly, you know, and it's like, should that be the priority? But that's what they make the priority.
They localize it for a bunch of different languages. You kind of have to.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, let's really kid ourselves that this was not a foreign made movie, you know, and like really try to match the mouth flaps. Yeah. Like, I don't know. You know, I don't know. I don't know.
But you think that if you don't like it, it's only because it was dubbed.
Well, I don't know.
So there's no way for me to win here. Even if you hate it, you'll be like, it's because it's dubbed.
You're very persuasive, though, I must say.
But I also will say that my other 3 members loved it, and I personally predict that you guys just will love it, and I'll get fucked over at the end.
All right.
I bet we're going to
that's not what this is going to be.
Okay, well, you know what? If that does happen...
Fuck you!
If that does happen, I'll think it's super funny. But I do have to say that when you said your family primarily watches indie movies, the thought in my head was, what a bunch of snobs.
Oh,
So,
yeah. A lot of docs, a lot of reading. Maybe I did have to read. I can't remember.
Okay, because I really like super dumb movies.
Yeah. They'll see everything, but they want to go see like black and white foreign films first.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure the last time I saw a black and white foreign film.
Right.
Which I'm sure
Princess Kaguya is black and white. Maybe there's
really?
like some little flash of color for 1 second, but it's like it tries to be in black and white.
Interesting.
I bet there are people in the audience who because I said that, think I'm real stupid that I didn't watch any black and white foreign films recently.
Whatever.
Yeah.
We were given the power of colors for a reason.
Yeah, it's another tool in your arsenal. Use it. Anyway, all right.
What do you think?
Yeah, Nick. What are your expectations?
I got a sneak peek of the art style because I was making sure the video was working, and it kind of looks like the other Ghibli film, My Neighbors the Yamadas.
Oh.
And I did not care for that film, and a lot of people liked it.
Excellent.
And it's the same sort of minimalist style.
Yeah, slideshow.
So I don't know if the style has anything to do with the story. Maybe it's a really cool story.
No.
You don't think it is?
No.
I am gonna go in with an open mind. I think I'm gonna like it. Just for funsies, I'm gonna say I'm gonna like it.
You know what's funny is I actually enjoyed My Neighbors the Yamadas, but I went in looking at the art style, like being like, what the hell is this art style? And then saying, well, it's Studio Ghibli, I might as well give it a shot, and just sitting down with very low expectations, and then saying, oh, this is quite charming little vignettes of family life in Japan.
Well, that's another thing I'm saying is that because I went in, thinking it was going to be the best movie experience of my entire year. It was primed for everything. I was like, here we go. And so I'm curious to see if I like it better with a second viewing of being like, it couldn't get worse. Let's see where it actually is.
We have this theme of going into a movie with certain expectations,
Yeah.
and it's not the movie's fault necessarily. Maybe this is really terrible, but maybe the way you go in thinking about it changes the way you experience it.
I feel like the people I meet who really hate so many movies are people who really, really wanted to see just not the movie that they're seeing.
Yes.
We're like, I want this movie to be something that I know it isn't, and when it turns out to be what I know it is, I'm gonna hate it even more. And it's like, why? I don't
that's
know.
a really good point. Yeah,
I meet a lot of people like that.
but also I feel like to like a lot of shitty movies, you'd have to be like, well, this is definitely gonna be a trash pile. Oh, it was only kind of a trash pile.
The thing is, I just don't see those movies. I just don't go.
Yeah.
If there's even a chance that I'm really gonna hate something, I generally just stay home.
Okay, I have some questions. I want to prime myself for what your guys' tastes are. What are some of your that have come out recently, your most favorite and least favorite of just all movies?
Oh well, I mean, we can say Kubo. We love Kubo.
We loved
I
Kubo.
didn't see that. Okay.
I mean, also I love everything
everything.
as the listeners know.
Do you love the new Star Wars movie?
It was definitely the 4th best Star Wars movie.
Okay. What's the last Marvel movies you guys saw?
Oh man,
I saw them out of order.
Was it Civil War? Was the most recent one? I saw Civil War.
Civil War was pretty good.
Okay. And so you guys will still see all this because I just don't see them anymore.
I have
Do you just not like Marvel movies?
I liked them for a certain point, and I was like, I've seen enough of these. My life is complete.
Fair enough. I kind of understand that.
I kind of like the characters. Now I kind of like, oh, let's see what those guys are up to, So
It's
when
TV,
so when I watch Civil War and it's clearly chapter 15 in the middle of the book where there's not exactly a beginning and there's not exactly an end, I'm fine with it at this point because I just well, let's see what those guys are up to. Yeah. Oh, they're not getting along so good today. Oh, those little rascals.
Yeah. Plus, they put millions of dollars into it, so at least there's a spectacle.
Yeah.
I'm not going to defend them as high art, though.
Yeah. I'm not going to be like they're awful or anything. I just personally am burnt out.
You're over it.
And I get that.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And what are your guys' favoriteest Studio Ghibli movies?
Spirited Away. No.
Wow. I'm going to say Howl's Moving Castle.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Man, that was my favorite books as a child.
Was that a book?
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah.
It was very good.
Oh, you guys read?
Yeah, it's an English book.
Well, I was in 4th grade.
I mean, I used to, I don't know. I haven't read, I read so many articles online, but then actual books, it's been a while.
This is in 4th grade, Lars. Don't worry. Don't beat yourself about it.
In 4th grade, we were all reading them.
Yeah.
So, you said not Spirited Away, though.
No, Spirited Away.
Yeah.
It's between that and Princess Mononoke, but I like Spirited Away better.
Yeah, I think I'll probably have to say Spirited Away. Excellent film.
Yeah, I think I have it on my desktop.
I'm sticking with Howl's Moving Castle.
That's also
No, Howl's Moving Castle is awesome.
Yeah, I always that fire character is my favorite. Like,
Calcifer?
He's my favorite when he isn't Billy Crystal, but again, I'm not a big dub person.
Yeah. I think I have seen these all dubbed. I think that's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They get some good voice casts though. They got Tina Fey for Ponyo.
Ponyo, take it or leave it, in my opinion. Beautiful though. That's the thing. Ponyo, I'd say I like it because it's beautiful. This fucking.
Oh, I super didn't like Ponyo.
Yeah, it wasn't
I really
great.
didn't like it at all.
The story was stupid, but you could just stare at it and like now we're in the ocean, it's also pretty, and now we're in a bubble, and that's great too.
I think
the story was all over the place.
I think I kind of liked it, but I think I was totally like making fun of it in my head while I was watching it, which like added to it for me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah. You know, I was quoting Homer, like, 2 naked 8-year-olds who are married. You know, just like...
Yeah. Can't we just get one Studio Ghibli where they just, like, fuck? Can we just get one movie where they just fuck? And it's like, we're about to fuck, and they do, and you kind of see enough to know they fucked, and then, like, that, can't we get, like, no? Is the answer just no?
What if it's just that's all it is, and Miyazaki's like, this is what I really wanted to do this whole time.
Yeah, that'd be great.
That's his retirement.
Let's
Let's
return to all the movies and enter in when they fucked.
Love it.
That's what I want.
Man.
Except not in Ponyo.
So often I watch movies and then just in my head I just add that. Like I'm just like, and then they fucked. Like it's just kind of like the scene we don't see.
With these movies you have to. The Spirited Away girl and that dragon, you know, she's aged up a few years, like a bone hardcore. He's a sexy dragon.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
He was a sexy dragon.
No, he was, no, of course. No one's arguing that point.
I'm not arguing.
It's very attractive.
Yeah.
Also a river.
I'm sure I've said, and then they fucked after worse things.
All right, I think this just about does it for the intro.
This is like the longest intro ever, and I regret nothing. Yeah, we had fun chatting about stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
I'm gonna put the movie on. I'm gonna come back and talk to you guys about it.
I'm watching this again. Enter a nightmare world.
Oh, you did this to yourself.
I really hope that we come back that you're just like really upset and maybe inconsolable.
Yeah, but we both love it.
That'll be podcast gold.
Yep. All right, 3, 2, 1. We're gone, and we're back.
Oh
right.
yeah.
Wow.
So. Okay, did we want to start with plugs first? Just to...
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
My plug is that I have a coffee table book, which Lars is in. He has a whole page dedicated to it, and it's called We Don't Think You're Racist, and then the subtitle is Soothing Affirmations from People of Color. So it's like a picture of somebody, and then... a quote of like something funny they're saying in reaction to a racist comment. Lars, do you remember what your quote is?
My quote, it's a photo of me, and on the facing page it says, "Me pass for white? I'd be honored."
Oh yeah, people love that. That's like a favorite.
Oh really?
I think about half the people
awesome.
Read the whole book. Yours is a favorite joke.
I didn't know
that's
you were in a
cool.
book.
Yeah, it's a little coffee table book. You know, it's soothing affirmations from people of color. You know.
Yeah. And it's actually it's in like liberally like college-y bookstores and across the whole country. And then the funniest thing that just happened is, do you guys know Hudson News, the book chain that's inside the airport?
No.
It just got picked up by Hudson News.
Whoa!
So if you're in an airport, you can go buy our coffee table book. Or on Amazon, just type in the title and it's the first thing.
That's amazing.
Wow.
So yeah, check that. If you're a fan of Lars, you'll be a fan of the book.
Yeah. Your favorite, white passing Swedish Mexican American.
Yes. I'm in the same boat. I'm in the book too. My quote is, "Thanks for only asking me twice if I'm sure I'm biracial." So that's like, I also look very white. I look way more white than you, Lars. You look some type of brown.
More white passing than I am.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm entirely half Mexican, and
yeah.
I don't remember what you got exactly going on.
Well, I got half culturally black, but the thing is that if you just fuck slaves for a bunch of years, a bunch of them get real white looking. So like my whole entire family looks like Obama or lighter, my dad's side of the family. And then if you mix that with one white person, it's game over.
Dem Punnett squares.
Yeah. But anyway, oh my god, I'm so curious. We were kind of talking over it a little bit, but I I'm so excited to hear what you guys think.
Was it more fun watching it with people who were making fun of it a lot?
Yes. It was so much better than being trapped in the theater with like a bunch of like horrible like Bay Area snooty hippies who are like, oh yes.
Well, here's what I think happened.
Yeah.
I think a bunch of those Bay Area people, which I'm also from there.
Where are you from?
I'm from Marin County.
Okay, I'm from Oakland.
Oh, cool. I think they all sat together quietly in the theater and watched it.
Yeah.
And when they got out, it's like looking at a piece of abstract art, right? And they looked at it and they went, I thought it was good, right? Like, I thought it was good too, right?
They thought it was going to be racist, but they didn't think it was good.
Yeah, no. Well, and the story is so incomprehensible. And it's not bad, but it's just baffling what happens to the point that you're just like, super good movie.
Oh, man.
Lars, what did you think?
Well, okay, so like I did pull up IMDb briefly, and I could find Hayao Miyazaki nowhere in the credits. So,
okay.
I mean, it is Studio Ghibli, but I mean, maybe he's just kind of in the next room for this. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a 2-hour and 17-minute movie.
Long for an animation.
Yeah.
That's okay when it's a slideshow. It's a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean, story-wise, what I'm realizing is it's not like this came from nothing. Like, it's
like
not
a fable.
Like, this is definitely a fable.
But instead of Cinderellaing it up, where we add some funny mice, and we add a cat that does gags, and we tie it all up, and we don't, like, cut the arm off in the middle of the thing, they just were like, let's just do that fable.
Yeah. And it should not be 2 hours and 17 minutes long.
It didn't need to be that long.
It
really didn't.
Oh, man, I'm kind of wiped out, honestly. Like, I mean...
Well, it's too bad because you're going to power through. We just started recording.
Man. I know, right?
Your own show. I made about this one, guys.
I made my best jokes during the movie at the movie's expense. But yeah, no, I mean, and again, like, it's not like, oh, what a piece of shit, you know, somebody's a total idiot asshole, but like, it is kind of just like probably too strict of a reading of an old Japanese myth.
Yeah, it's like that's before there's a reason that like call to action, hero's journey is a thing, and there just wasn't that. She had no motivation to the whole thing. There was no time. The loosest thing you guys saw was that farm guy. Okay, and maybe
try to keep the spoiler free for just the first part of it.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Tell me when that's over. But
yeah.
So it's just like,
you want to just jump into it?
It's gonna be.
No, I'm fine with whatever. Just let me know.
It'll be 2 more minutes.
Okay.
She had no motivation through the whole thing. It was just like, oh, here's some random shit that we threw at the wall, and we didn't take anything off.
And she even changes motivation halfway.
Yeah.
Like, at a certain point.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil too much, like at this point, but like once she has the dream sequence and then comes back, she just is motivated to just keep going. But then she has a random change. I'll get into it later.
It's fair to say
she's all over the place.
She's a very passive protagonist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but she's certainly throwing a fit during all of it.
Yeah, no, she's really filled with a bunch of displeasure and
like melancholy.
Yeah, and ineffectual displeasure at her situation.
And I'll also say that the dad is an ineffective and unmotivated, like, I guess, antagonist / support character. Like, it's just like, you're just like, what's causing these characters to act this way? And there's no answer given.
Honestly, the dad is the character that has the most sense to him. At least he's motivated by the same thing the entire movie.
Yeah.
Which is that he wants the best life for her.
Yeah,
Even though it's kind of like flawed thinking. Yeah. That's just what he believes and he's going to do it no matter what.
Yeah.
So he makes the most sense.
Yeah.
No, there's a fly buzzing around.
There is a fly in here, boo. Yeah. Oh well. So I mean, overall, I mean it's Studio Ghibli, but it's not Hayao Miyazaki, and I feel like the biggest sin of this movie is that there isn't a thought given to pacing and emotional highs and lows.
Yeah.
And what you were saying about kind of like just just storytelling in general that has like a beginning, middle, and end that relates to itself, and a protagonist that wants something and then fails at one point and then tries again and learns something.
Yeah.
There's none of that really present here necessarily.
Yeah. I am curious now to get to the artistic side of it, because as just a lay person watching it, I was like, I hate every part of the animation. Here are the parts that I notice that I hate.
Okay.
I hate that the pen strokes have, like, white under them. Like, I hate that the outlines looked like they were, like, a pencil loosely drawn on a piece of paper. And I also hate that the details weren't filled in on the edges the entire movie, and there was way too much white in the movie. Like, things were barely colored, and it looked like you had taken, like, a really soft eraser brush on Photoshop and gone around in a circle for the whole movie at the edges. And I really just found it ugly.
To me, I think that what they were going for, actually I think it was kind of motivated by the fact that this was a myth. I think they were going, remember at one point they're looking at these old scrolls.
Yeah.
I think they were going for that very old Japanese art style, and I think the whole animation technique was meant to evoke sort of ink brush and watercolor.
Yeah. Definitely.
It didn't bother me that much.
Yeah.
I kind of got used to it after a while, and it lent to the dreamlike state of the whole movie.
That's interesting, because to me that's like another big low point of the movie, because like I love that old style, but I really was just distracted by like how minimalist it was the entire time. Like I would love to just see that, like if you look at those old like parchments, it's not, I mean, I guess if you incorporate the medium, the literal bamboo, there's some white space, but the rest of it's filled in, and, like, it's not like they don't use color. It's like they don't use color because it's been there for, like, 3,000 years, not that, like, it didn't originally have color, you know?
I definitely thought it was funny at one point when they're doing, like, a minimalist background, and you were like, oh, I guess they got tired of drawing trees.
Right. Like, some of it just feels... And then also, I think that, like, the animation, like, tricks of, like, oh, I drew one image of an eagle, and I'm gonna, like, take that and, like, drag it.
I did notice...
It looks cheap.
When he was in the sky just like that.
Yeah.
That was kind of, like, computery.
It
wasn't... They weren't going for that. So that was kind of a failure.
There was definitely at least one shot, a reaction shot of the mom where it was just one drawing of her sitting there for like 3 seconds.
The pacing was just like, pick it up. We don't need to someone would ask a question and it would be like 10 seconds of this person thinking about that question, this person thinking about that question, this, I'm just like, ask the question, have someone respond. Like I guess like, the audience, like, way ahead of the movie, except for the fact that it took random, like, red herrings.
Yeah.
You asked us repeatedly, what do you think's going to happen
Yes.
now?
Yes, I was so curious.
Oh, and we never guessed.
You guys were so confident, because you were trying to put a story into the movie.
Yeah, anything that we said would have... made sense given the things that came before.
Better.
Well, okay. Okay.
It was a bizarre ending that was delightful.
Okay.
Because there was no way of seeing it coming.
All right, now wait.
Oh, left turn. Cool. We're doing this now.
No, Nick, maybe when she asked that, you were trying to put a story onto it, and Robin, maybe I came off as confident, but really, I wasn't actually really, like, those were not...
You didn't think, you knew.
No, I was saying stuff that I did not think was going to happen at all. I was saying stuff that I think it would be really funny if they went that way, but I don't think they would do it.
At least, like, all your outlandish things had cause and effect to it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Man, I feel like for the sake of the listeners, we should come up with at least one of the things I said. I don't know.
You said where she ends up homeless wandering around.
Oh, yeah. Yep. That was one suggestion I made that did not happen. There were many suggestions that I made that did not happen.
At least it would have, like, maybe that's part of her motivation, because she doesn't want to be a princess, and, like, maybe that's the passion.
But she is kind of down to be a princess, and she's kind of whatever.
It's only to make her dad happy. I don't know. Should we get into spoilers? Let's call it spoilers. It's time. Spoilers. We're sort of halfway in, halfway out. It's spoiler time.
Yeah, it's spoiler time.
Spoilers are happening. Definitely every time you asked that, I was just like, oh, and then they fuck, or oh, and then they die, like I was doing, but nope, wrong every time.
Yeah. And also, it's just not, like, obviously, inherently, you wouldn't want to just, like, get married to some random dude, but it's just she never says, I love this guy, or she never says, I want to talk to the guy I'm married. She never says, I don't want to get married ever. All she does is, like, you're not good enough. I don't want you.
It's like 3 years pass, and at no point does she say she's not satisfied with the life she's given.
Right. Like, so for 3 years, she's just sitting there?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I mean, she's gardening and helping her mom cook and weave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she never says what she wants. And you said that earlier. She's very passive. She just lets things happen to her and then feels bad about it, but doesn't do anything.
Yeah. And that is a result of like a too strict reading of a fairy tale, I think. Because, you know, that's the thing about fairy tales is like in original forms of fairy tales, there's almost no dialogue. Like, the only dialogue is, like, a catchphrase. You know, like, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your hair. Yeah. But, like, Rapunzel doesn't have any written dialogue. It's just, like, and then.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And very evident here. Sorry.
Oh, no. It's, like, those old fairy tales, so much random shit happens, and you're just like, why would this be included? And it's like, you can just totally see, like, it actually really vividly makes you know exactly what happened in that old fairy tale.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to think about kind of Disney's, you know, fairy tale adaptations and how they go very, very far afield from the original fairy tale.
Yeah.
And a bunch of fucked up shit happens.
Yeah, you know, it's like, and and it's funny because you kind of say like, hey, ain't the wolf supposed to eat a couple of those pigs, you know? But then at the same time, you're like, well, do we really need to see Cinderella's stepsisters, like, get their eyeballs pecked out by crows?
Would Little Mermaid really be better if she was foam at the end?
Yeah.
The answer is no. You need to edit that.
Yeah, throw like a crab in there that sings songs.
Exactly. That's racist crab.
Yep.
Is he racist?
He's just a stereotype.
Oh, man. Yeah. I remember Sebastian saying all sorts of racist things in that movie.
Yeah, he drops like 10 N-bombs. You
Yeah.
gotta go check it out.
I believed you for like a split second. I've had a couple of beers.
We're tired.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you guys. That was a 2 hour and 11,
I
like
can't
17
believe you guys
minute
didn't
movie.
speed through it. I felt too rude to be like, we can skip this whole thing.
Oh, well, I don't know. I mean, I would feel bad, but it has been like 3 hours since we recorded the first part of this podcast.
Also,
like,
I'll say what's interesting is the things I appreciate on second viewing was the reaction shots of animals, because there's such nothing happening in this movie. There's so many like little things of like a character stares at a cricket and then you see a very beautifully drawn cricket like do something. But that happens like 100 times. We saw piglets, we saw that moth, we saw a bunch of birds, we saw a bunch of squirrels, we saw a bunch of more butterflies. There's so many animal reaction shots.
I didn't pick up on that, but I guess you're right.
I guess the story of this movie is how Princess Kaguya, you know, she leaves her home among the space gods on the moon to live a human life and feel what feelings are like, because they don't have feelings on the moon. And she's having such a good time being a bumpkin.
But she's bumpkin.
And then she becomes a princess and she's bummed out for the rest of the movie, and you get to experience that with her. You know, you get to have the fun of growing up as a bumpkin in a matter of weeks and playing with animals, and then you're a princess and your life sucks for a while until the movie's over.
And another editing thing is that it's like she's just like a little hillbilly, like collecting stuff. Like little like, oh, I'm gonna make mushroom soup tonight. We got some mushrooms in the woods. And then that dad is walking along and a bamboo glows bright and he cuts it and gold falls out, and then he cuts another one and silk kimonos fall out. So it's like the moon was being like, you have to be rich. You know, it wasn't like the moon gave her a fair shot.
Yeah, the moon kind of sabotaged her.
Yeah.
Because she was like a little baby at that point. She didn't remember she was from the moon.
Yeah.
Pretty clever moon.
Pretty clever moon.
Real dick, these moon people. You know, she kept saying, please don't put the robe on me at the end. Don't put the robe on me that erases my Earth memories and makes me a moon person again.
Yeah.
You know, and then they're like, but I'll put it on you.
Oh, what?
Okay. Yeah. Like, they're, you know...
Another good thing the movie did, the second thing I noticed the second time around, was animal shots, and then it really, like, paints men as terrible, and I always enjoy a film that just blanketly paints all men as terrible.
Oh, who doesn't enjoy that?
Yeah.
A bunch of Homer Simpsons, these men.
They really were.
Yeah.
They were a bunch of Homer Simpsons.
Oh my gosh. I honestly thought that one suitor in the middle was gonna compare her to donuts.
But you guys were so fooled when that one was talking about, like, I'm gonna take you to nature. You guys were like, oh, she's gonna marry this guy.
Yeah,
So, I don't really understand what happened there.
Right, because why would they explain it?
Because she was like, oh, I like this guy. Like, she was
because
like,
then his wife showed up.
Then the wife put on her robe and sat in her place, and when they lifted the thing, he was like, oh, God, you're actually not hot at all. Never mind. Ugh. He was super embarrassed.
No, but it was his own wife, though.
Oh, that was his wife?
Yeah, he was cheating. That's what it was.
Oh,
that was not clear at all.
I thought they were all cheating.
No. It was multiple wives or something, but then, so that one was that, like, because she was like, you said you were going to take me away too, just like you said to countless princesses who are embarrassed and had to go to a nunnery because their marriage was false.
They did point out that guy was kind of like a Lothario of some kind. Like that he has a pattern of getting princesses and then abandoning them.
They didn't do a great job of illustrating that.
No, just
we both missed it.
I mean, I picked it up, but I forgot it until you said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
For me, it was whoosh.
Yeah, no, it was not clear at all, like many other things in the movie.
Well, sometimes if it's just in dialogue, it goes by real fast. It's just that single line explain away, you know, it's, people miss those, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I mean, speaking to the pacing again, like the people going off and coming back with all the gifts could have happened in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it didn't need to be 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And yet, that was one of the funner parts of the movie, was these suitors bringing back fake stuff to get her.
I have a question. What was your favorite part about the movie?
Oh, the end.
The very end.
Of course, the very end.
Just because it was crazy.
Yeah. And plus, it was when the most, like, new information was coming in all at once.
Oh, man. Whenever I thought people were going to fuck. But then they never did.
It happens a lot more than you might think in a movie like this.
When Smash Face, Stigmatu, is flying around with her.
Yeah. He could have just whipped his D out in the clouds.
Yeah, I know, right? I was like thinking, like, hurry up, then she's going back to the moon. But yeah, no, like the sweetest parts of this movie turn out to be dreams.
Yeah, fuck this movie. Dream sequences.
Oh yeah, fucks you over.
With that?
And which really like teases you that you know that they knew what you want as an audience member, and they're like, nope, that's not gonna happen.
That's, you know what? Maybe that was the director being like, God damn, this movie needs something, but I don't want to stray from the original fairy tale. I know they'll have dreams of the parts that I wish happened.
Yeah.
And those will be 2-minute sequences in the entire movie.
So, like, what I was alluding to earlier was she's like all prepared to live this like life of being, a princess, and she has this dream sequence where she strips everything away and runs off during her celebration. And she's finally free and she returns to the country. And then, no, fuck you, it's a dream. And she wakes up and then just keeps going.
Yeah. Another big part about that is that in doing that, they have another thing unresolved because she's about to get raped by 3 rapists. And then instead, and you think she runs away to avoid the rapists, but instead she passes out and she wakes up and they're not there. So what happened to those 3 rapists?
Yep. We can kind of fill in the gaps there.
I don't think she got raped.
I don't think she got raped either.
I hope
so. Then we can't fill in the gaps.
Although if she did get raped, it would explain like the remainder of the movie somewhat. You don't think
nothing was going to explain the rest of that movie?
You don't think that helps to contextualize her dismissal of these suitors and her PTSD reaction to the Emperor giving her a hug without her consent?
That is true. There was some rape themes in this.
The Emperor, certainly.
The Emperor's a little rapey. Yeah, and those 3 guys,
for sure.
Emperor was pretty rapey.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not arguing that that's what happened, but I'm saying it would make sense.
Stigmata was a gentleman because he was going to abandon his wife in that 1 second. Even he was a jerk.
Oh yeah, he was absolutely willing to like leave his wife, like baby.
After 5 minutes.
That's super fucked up, though.
Although, to be fair, it was a dream, and you say all kinds of shit when you're dreaming.
That's true. Yeah.
We can't stay mad at you, Stigmata. Oh, jeez.
It's a dream.
This guy.
Where you ran away with her, like, within 5 seconds.
Well, that was really interesting to watch you guys watch it.
Yeah. Well, we gotta talk about the end just super quick. where the moon people come back for her in the clouds. They come from the moon.
Yeah.
And she doesn't want to go back, but she's drawn to them through some mysterious power.
Yeah.
Like magnetism. She really was sucked up. She had no choice.
Yeah, I'm glad that I'm, familiar enough, barely familiar enough with Japanese folklore to, like, have any, like, context to me at all. Like, that I, because if I wasn't vaguely aware of the Japanese believing in, like, space gods living on the moon, like, I would have been like, what the hell? Like, that came out of nowhere and makes no sense, and what were they smoking when they made this movie?
I got a little secret for you.
Uh-huh.
I don't have any knowledge of Japanese folklore, and that made no sense to me.
Yeah, me too. All I knew was Sailor Moon. I was like, hey, that's just like Sailor Moon. She was also on the moon.
Oh, sure.
So hey, you guys, I don't know. Gee, I don't know. This is like, I would have to give spoilers for a different movie to talk about why I have context for that in the slightest.
Well, movie is
go for it.
Well, sorry listeners, but hey, you've heard all our episodes up till now anyway, right? Yeah. Kubo.
Oh. Well,
Kubo. Did you see?
No.
Yeah, okay, well, there is some. So Robin hasn't seen Kubo, and I don't want to give it away for you because I think you want to see it.
Yeah.
There is some reference to space gods
stuff.
in Kubo.
Yep,
So,
in the moon.
which is the extent of my knowledge, but these are both Japanese mythic fairy tales. You know what? It's so funny, Nick. We're now reviewing 2 Japanese fairy tale movies in a row.
Oh, yeah.
It's so funny. This always happens on accident.
Kubo at least had a beginning, middle, and end that made logical sense to the character.
Yes, it was an American production that borrowed heavily from Japanese folklore.
Okay.
Yeah. From the style, did you guys... Because I also thought the animation looked lazy in terms of, like, not enough frames or something. Like, because we usually, like, Studio Ghibli looks so beautiful. Like a painting that's just, like, gliding. Like, did you guys feel that way, or do you feel like that was me, like, judging the type of...
So, with movies like this stylistically, I feel like the budget that they got influences the style of it. Like we saw Sausage Party, and we said, like, they could have added a bunch of background stuff. They could have made, I don't know, a lot of things better visually.
Yeah.
But if you're given a certain budget, you kind of work with what you have.
So you think it was way under the rest of them?
Yeah, of course. Like, they didn't get the budget of Spirited Away and then blow it on this.
Okay.
I would say also that, like, the fact, like, if you're making Spirited Away in that style, then you get to do, like, one clean line. Whereas in a movie like this, where you have this very stylized line that's meant to imitate, like, an ink brush, your cleanup goes from making one smooth line to, like, having this sort of very textured, very specific line. And it's that you do end up having to reduce your budget in other ways, and there were definitely fewer frames per second, absolutely, and I did notice that. Here and there, I would become aware of it, but the truth is that was going on throughout, and also though, then you kind of have to look at it and say, like, well, if you have that type of a stylized line where the brush is imprecise, if you have too many frames a second, you're going to start getting, like, a flickering effect.
Yeah.
So, it's
I can
kind
see
of...
that.
I understand your argument, definitely, but it didn't bother me that much.
I see both sides of it for sure.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there are fewer frames, and how many frames can you do?
And considering the story itself, which is, like, super weird and dreamlike, and there's all sorts of things that you don't know if it's real or not, that, go ahead and make a weird, ambiguous style that misses out on information and things like that.
Yeah.
But I get it.
Yeah, I do see why you're referring to it as a slideshow.
Right.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Oh, I do have to say, I sort of said this a couple times during the movie in, like, sarcastic tones, but I do really feel like the dubbing of this movie did it no favors. Like, there were a lot of places where, you could tell the translation was relatively literal, or that they went with a really awkward phrasing to match the number of mouth flaps. Places where they just said stuff that just, and then they're just. Even then, I do know that so often they just don't think enough about different reads when they're dubbing this type of movie. There are times when it should have been like, what if this character was just kind of talking to himself for this line? Just things like that. Everybody is speaking like in a stage voice throughout the movie.
It's interesting you say that, because a big problem with this movie is you don't know what anyone's intentions are necessarily, and I think the readings do come into play on that, and maybe it is just the dub. Especially in the beginning, the dialogue when they first see the baby and she starts breastfeeding it, and we don't understand what their relationship is necessarily, because it's so stilted the way they're talking to each other. Yeah,
but also I knew you were gonna, because you said before, I was like, I'm gonna look out for arguments against this. Not that I don't agree with you, but just to do devil's advocate, I'd say that the overall sounds, the sound effects, for instance, her twirling around and getting the cherry blossoms for 30 seconds. It's that's just anyone laughing or whatever. And then the sounds, there were so many silent parts of this movie that still sucked, and that's not dubbing's fault,
Yeah.
But I also on dubbing, I once, when I was in Mexico, I went to go see Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
It's a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a good movie, but me and my dad saw it, and we were laughing at these weird little jokes, and then the entire rest of the audience, which I think they were reading subtitles, weren't laughing. And it's because even with my 9th grade Spanish, I can tell that didn't translate to how it was supposed to. So I can definitely see, and that's a movie that's hard to see if it's you don't. Yeah, that's there's a lot of shit to intake.
Yeah.
So I can definitely see how dubbing would fuck up a movie.
Yeah, I mean, remember when the dad is trying to say change into some robes, and he's like, range into some chobes. I mean, and it's dude, this doesn't work at all in English. Ugh.
So speaking to that, maybe it is because we speak English that we don't understand the whole folklore aspect of it. Maybe if we grew up in a culture that was oh yeah, moon gods, yeah, totally. I understand where the story's going, because
everything eventually ends in moon gods.
Right.
Because I already understand that as a trope, whereas there's maybe in a Western doesn't translate as well to Japanese, because we understand that.
And I'm not saying that if we had watched this with subtitles, we'd be 10 out of 10, best movie I've ever seen. But I'm saying that it's. I think it would have been better if we'd had subtitles. I feel like it certainly couldn't be any worse with subtitles.
No. It's at least the same or better.
It would be, the same or better. Exactly.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah.
It wouldn't fix the fact that it's too long.
The pacing issues and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But if I were to describe this movie in one word, it would be baffling. and maybe subtitles could have helped.
Are we wrapping it up? Or we keep on talking? Probably. What do you guys want to do?
I mean, if you've said everything you want to say about this movie, if we all have, and I feel like I hit all the major points.
Yeah, I have a question I want to ask you guys.
Okay.
If you guys now, it's all right, we're remaking Princess Kaguya. You can do it in any style you want to. You can make it live action, but what's your overall storyline? What do you edit it to be?
All right,
great question.
And you know what? This brings it around to the title of the podcast is Nick and Lars Have Notes.
We almost forgot to do notes.
What good are all these criticisms if we don't have actual notes, if we haven't learned anything from this movie?
Okay. Well, you can go first, but I
okay, well, not live action, because live action is terrible. Yeah, but no, let's see here. Let's see, we need a sidekick. Maybe that little frog from the beginning.
Oh, sure.
The
grasshopper for luck.
Yep, the grasshopper. Sure, yeah, that could be a little Jiminy Cricket type character.
That's right.
Okay. Well, I mean, But yeah, no, the Jiminy Cricket type character.
Yeah, for her conscience.
Okay, so the grasshopper will be her conscience. She'll want a little frog from the beginning.
Yep.
That'll hang out with her. Let's say he's farting all the time. All
right. Hilarious.
Yeah. All right.
It.
Now we're gonna make it like
Murphy.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love it. Let's see if we can get him on the phone.
Cool.
It's gonna be 40 or 50 minutes shorter. We're just gonna cut it down.
But what are the story? What are the story? We have the farting frog.
And then, okay, also we're gonna have some. You know what? Okay, and this is actually serious. Okay, a little visual book ending so that people who aren't familiar with Japanese cultural tropes aren't caught completely off guard. I hope they didn't do this, and I don't sound like a complete asshole. But what if we start with like a shot of the moon and see the moonbeam come down from the moon and hit that bamboo shoot? Yeah. I think in the beginning we just see him cutting bamboo, and then one of the bamboo shoots starts to glow.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's a narrator who jumps in every now and again to explain things that we don't really need explained.
Yeah.
That would be a little bit of exposition.
You know what? Actually, I'm removing the narrator entirely, and we're just starting on a shot of the moon.
Great.
Yeah.
The moon shoots a moonbeam down, and there's a guy, he's hanging out and he's chopping bamboo, and maybe we sort of cheat time a little and just have 30 seconds of him chopping bamboo, pulling the thing down. I did think it was interesting how the bamboo, the leaves are caught on the other bamboos,
that
and
was
it's sort of
interesting.
defying gravity. I was like, oh, I've never been a bamboo cutter. I didn't realize it.
So that was like the most grounded part of the movie.
Yeah. And then have the bamboo shoot glow, and you're like, oh, the moon's making the bamboo shoot glow for some reason. And then I have that in the back of my head for the entire movie, and I'm not caught off guard at the end.
The thing with there's a baby is too long.
Yeah.
It starts off slow.
But
what about the story?
Ahead.
What about the story?
Can I jump in?
Yes.
Here's the story parallels Aladdin a little bit, where it's this guy who's pretending to be someone he's not, and he's not impressing the princess, who just wants someone who's down to earth and not just like a random prince. I feel like maybe that wasn't the right analogy, but I feel like the story would have, and I even kind of predicted this, right? She comes down, she's revered by all these noblemen who want to marry her, all these princes, and each in turn, like she's not feeling them, right?
Yeah.
She turns them away.
All right.
Of course, the obvious Hollywood ending is that she meets back up with that childhood friend of hers.
Yeah.
And then they get married, and she doesn't care if he's of noble birth. And she explains to her father, I don't want this life. I want to live like the simple life that I had. That was when I was truly happy.
Yeah.
You're doing all this for me, but I was only happy when I was living the life of freedom.
Yeah.
And they didn't do that in this movie.
Not at all.
They didn't.
You know what
the
I
movie
also
is about
want?
what might have been.
Yeah. I also want like an intro, because at first he was just super chill being a bamboo cutter. What I want is that dad, you see him being like an aggressively wanting to level up bamboo cutter who's like hobnobbing with the fanciest person in that little town. And maybe he doesn't even find gold. Maybe he just starts telling the story of where she came from. And like that's how he gets rich enough to like make her of noble birth. And then that, it's instead of just like whenever the moon gives you gold and robes, that's bad motivation.
Yeah.
What if early in the movie at some point, maybe let's cut away to this during the whole baby whatever.
Yeah.
Let's say that the bamboo cutter, he's always cutting this bamboo, maybe he has some sort of interaction with a traveling merchant who treats him shittily. And then he says, man, that merchant, if I wasn't such a lowly bamboo cutter, I would really shit on that merchant. Yeah.
I'd like some of that.
Yeah, get a little selfishness in there.
And then would you guys want her to get with that like hot guy at the end, the farmer?
See,
not if he has a wife and kid.
And
that
also,
ruins it too.
If I'm being serious, I mean, obviously while I was watching the movie, I was just like, fuck! But, realistically though, as much as I want to see that, I feel like that would be spoiling me as an audience member and undermining kind of a lot of what this movie is doing.
Yeah, but they didn't even meet up.
I shouldn't get everything I want as an audience member.
They could have met up and still he tried to fight against the moon and he couldn't do it. Like, maybe they became a couple, maybe they did reach that, and there's still 15 more minutes left, and then the moon does come, and she still can't help, like, her force of, like, I do belong with the moon, and then he's heartbroken.
Yeah. Or even, honestly, I would like to see her heartbroken more. Let's see her heart breaking, thinking about what might have been with him.
Yeah.
And you know, he has that dream and he kind of shakes it off. And I think the fact that he had that dream and shakes it off would hurt more if we saw her hurting.
Yeah, and maybe there was some higher reason where it's because, like, she's, at the end of the day, she's a spoiled princess. She's a spoiled princess on Earth and on the moon. It's like, maybe if she had some higher power, like Sailor Moon, for instance, has responsibilities on the moon that she has to go get back to. And it was like she had to choose between, like, she finally found happiness. She remembered the reason she came to Earth was to, like, get down to roots. And then even though the moon is cold, she had to, like, rule it or something, you know?
And then she brings a little bit of her knowledge from Earth back.
Maybe. Or she had to or it's like when she sacrificed the coat, all it did was like, no, I don't remember it. Like, what if it, like, she had a kid on Earth and she had to, like, I have to put the jacket on to get back to the moon, and I have to do this important thing on the moon, you know? Like, yeah, like, just something that, like...
You know what else I would have liked to see, which again would be some cool book ending, would be is if when she looks back at Earth when they're almost to the moon, I would have loved somebody else on that cloud to see her look and be inspired.
Yeah.
And then that would make it feel like, oh, this is all going to happen again. And that would make it feel like it meant something.
Yeah, it all meant nothing. It all meant nothing.
That's true. At the end of the day, nothing was really accomplished.
Yeah. No one learned anything. No one set out to learn anything.
Mom and dad live in a mansion,
right?
Die and are forgotten.
Yeah. I guess they benefited the most.
Yeah,
they got that gold.
Yeah.
The dad seems happy.
I mean...
Their marriage kind of dissolved.
I don't know. Who knows? What do you do? What do you do in that situation?
Your moon daughter gets taken away? I don't know. Never gonna happen to me.
Oh my gosh.
Well, thanks so much for having me, guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
No
Yes,
problem.
It's really fun.
Which is why we do it, you know.
It's cool that we get to watch movies that we wouldn't have normally seen anyway. It was, even though it was a very baffling movie, I don't regret seeing it. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. But yeah, it was interesting. Like I'll remember.
I mean, you Ghibli completists, you know. And I mean, maybe try the subtitled version if you're
really gonna go for it.
Want to check it out, and you know, or you know, sit down with a couple of friends and a couple of beers and make some jokes.
Sure. Yes, you can talk over this movie.
Yeah, you could probably turn it into a drinking game pretty easily.
Man, what would the rules of that game be?
Every time a tear gets shed, every time you cut away to an animal looking at something,
every time her dad turns red.
That's definitely one of the rules.
Yeah.
Oh man!
Every time you see some baby dick.
Oh yeah.
Blink and you'll miss it.
Yeah. So, Robin, what would you give this out of 10?
Yes.
I'm gonna give it a 5 because at least it was like unique, you know. Because I would complain, like I was saying, Marvel movies. My biggest thing is like, why are there so many? But this is like there are not so many Princess Kaguyas.
Yeah, true.
So 5.
Did get that nomination.
Yeah.
Now I've seen all of them from that year.
Yeah.
Was that 2015?
I can't remember.
Anyway.
Oh.
Yeah. You know what? 5 sounds pretty good to me because it's not horrible.
Yeah.
And it's not great either.
It's going for something.
Yeah, I mean, it's a swing and a miss, but at least they did something, and you don't see that a lot in the typical movie. It's just like a generic white guy punching each other. You know? So at least it was something. Lars?
Well, just to be different, 10. No, just I honestly, I think I have to give it a 5 too, and I wonder if I would give it higher if we had seen the subtitled version. I have to imagine I would have been giving it more.
Yeah.
You know, probably if we watched it subtitled, I'd be giving it at least a 6, but we didn't, so I can't.
Yeah.
Five.
I don't know, man. Like, this was the dub that Studio Ghibli approved for American audiences.
Yeah,
this is the movie they wanted us to see.
This is the dub that, like, Studio Ghibli handed off to an American localization studio.
They've got to care at least somewhat.
I don't know. Does Disney still handle Ghibli's localization efforts?
You're looking at me for that answer?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look up the
I know Disney did it for, like, Spirited Away.
Yeah.
at the very least. I don't know. But yeah, anyway.
If you had to be one character from a movie, who would you be?
If I could be one character...
You had to be. You take over their life.
Man. Oh my gosh. You know what? I'll be the Emperor, because he doesn't even know what rejection is. It confuses him.
I was also going to say the Emperor.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. It seems like he has the least stress in his life. There's no female character that could take over.
Oh my gosh. You're going to friggin' get our nuts.
And then that guy, the hot guy, the farmer, said he was starving to death. Like, ugh.
Yeah. But hey, that's why he's so fit.
He is fit,
oh my
right?
Gosh.
He was pretty tan,
Man,
too, like that.
I wish I could lose these last 13 pounds.
Do you have an answer?
Oh, the Emperor.
No.
Did you know? Sorry, I don't know if this is your question, but did you know Lucy Liu was in this movie?
No, who is she? Oh, she's the teacher, right?
Lady Sagami.
Yes,
Yeah.
I knew that.
Yep.
That was a good character. Her life is like kind of chill. That's like kind of closest to what my day job is. I'm a chemistry teacher.
Oh.
Wow. Getting those kids to paint their teeth.
Yeah. Was that different? Was she the tall one or the short one?
The tall one.
The
one who was bitchy and was like, I can do nothing for your daughter.
She quit
right.
at one point.
I loved the short one because she had the most ridiculous faces throughout
the movie.
She was always like making some weird expression.
She was so positive.
It was funny how like so many of the characters in this movie were caricatures.
Yeah.
Oh man, and that old guy who gives her the name can't stop like creaming his shorts.
Yeah, there was so much like male gaze on like preteens in this movie.
Oh man.
Which is, it's also weird because she was behind, like the slatted area, and so they couldn't even see her.
Yeah.
And they were like still like popping boners for her.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know if she was a preteen. She was simultaneously a teenager and 5 months old, but I don't think preteen is fair.
Yeah. Weird that she aged rapidly until she got to like 17.
Yeah,
and then
stopped. Really tapered off there.
That's Japan's their dream is that you would only take like 5 months to be able to get fuckable, and you stay that way.
And then
forever.
3 years later, exactly the same age.
Yeah. No wrinkles.
No, I get it. I want to be fuckable forever.
Yeah. Forever 21.
Well, be thankful you're a fucking man. You got 20 more years than I do.
Yeah.
Well, eventually we turn distinguished.
Right.
That's the next
thing.
Thing.
So long as you have money.
Right.
Yeah. Hobos are not distinguished, unfortunately.
And if you have a top hat.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, man.
And if you're rich, you're not crazy, you're eccentric.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Money has a lot to do with it.
All right, well, let's see. Okay, so we gave our ratings for the movie. No trailer report this episode.
Report.
We didn't watch any trailers. So I guess
I think this is about the end of the show. I think
next episode will probably be Moana.
Oh yeah.
Unless we do another Lost episode, maybe in October.
Yeah.
Because I don't think any animated movies are coming out in October. If they are, I forgot.
Are you going to do Trolls? Trolls is coming
Trolls comes out in November.
Oh, maybe I'll see it. It's been a while since we did another episode. So and you ended up seeing Storks.
I did see Storks.
Oh, did you like it?
I did. I would compare it to Angry Birds.
I heard that was terrible.
Well, what I was saying much earlier is, what the hell do people expect from a movie based on a little friggin' app game?
Storks is a game?
No. I'm saying if you went into Angry Birds expecting Shakespeare, you're an idiot and an asshole.
They did the best they could with birds that have to slingshot into buildings.
Yeah, to kill green pigs that are stealing their eggs. That's the thing. It's like Angry Birds is the best movie you could have made from that premise.
I disagree based on the trailer, but that's another talk.
Well, but you haven't seen the movie. I think it's legitimately funny. I don't know.
It's super not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad.
We reviewed it. It's funny. I was laughing. Yeah, you'll know. And you won't watch it for yourself and let me know. I don't know. One of the Simpsons writers wrote the movie.
Can't be all bad.
The anime, it's funny. Anyway,
Storks, right?
Yeah, Storks. I would compare to Angry Birds. It's maybe even faster paced.
Okay.
The story is actually looser. It almost feels like they're making it up as they go along, but it works surprisingly well given that statement. I don't regret seeing Storks.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Great, so go and see that.
Yep, so you get mini reviews of Storks and Angry Birds as part of the Princess Kaguya.
I saw Hunt for the Wilder People is very good. Go watch that.
Say it again?
Hunt for the Wilder People.
Hunt for the Wilder People.
It's by the director who did What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, okay.
And it's very, very funny. It's out now. I recommend it.
Okay.
It's live action, but...
haven't heard of it. Haven't heard of it.
It's very good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'll have to look up a trailer after this.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. So maybe Trolls, maybe Moana, maybe Lost Episode. Robin, thank you so much for coming. We had a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me. It was great. Yeah.
So, you see why we do this. This is a good time.
Yeah.
All right, Lars, do that catchphrase that you do every time.
Oh,
that wraps up the show.
We love all you guys and leave it in. I never remember what the sign off is.
I was messing with you. I'm Nick. Edit this out.